Sunday Night Football and a chance to win $100,000. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Jason Mattis with Winning Bets. Thanks for hanging out with me on this free contest. That's right, this one's Sunday Night Football between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. And thanks to our friends over on the NBC Sports Predictor app, you can win $100,000 if you can correctly answer 7 questions. It's free and easy to play. If nobody can answer the 7 questions correctly, they'll give away a guaranteed $5,000 prize to the group of people that can get the most points. The way you can get the most points is just answer each question. Each question is weighted a little bit differently. You can win 5, 10, 15 points on some of the questions. Either way, you can find out the pricing and the scoring in the app. I'm here to, though, help you, provide you with the information to make you make better decisions. Hopefully, you'll follow me on some of my answers. But even if not, I'm here to, like I said, just give you the information to help you win $100,000. All right, so let's jump on into it and see how we'll do this week. Question 1 is Patrick Mahomes' passing yards and touchdowns. Look, he averages 306 yards per game without taking into account sacks. And when you take into account sacks, he only averages 299 passing yards per game. Don't know why the app there is telling you 317. If you do the math of 2,687 yards divided by 9, you do not get 317. For passing TDs, though, he averages 2.8 passing TDs per game. But I wanted to look at his game log and see how many passing TDs he has in each game. He's never had 0 passing touchdowns in a game this season. He's had 1 passing touchdown once. He's had 2 passing touchdowns 4 times, 3 TDs once, 4 TDs 2 times, and 5 TDs happened once this season. If we look at the Raiders' defense, on their defense, they're averaging 264 passing yards per game, and they're giving up 1.5 passing touchdowns per game. I'm going to go ahead here and lock in Patrick Mahomes with 300 to 349 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. If we move on, this question 2 is the same thing, but involves Derek Carr. Derek Carr, he averages 248 yards of passing per game without taking into account sacks. If you factor in the sacks, he averages 239 passing yards per game. He averages 1.8 touchdowns per game. In his game log, TDs in the games, he's done 0 touchdowns 1 time, 1 touchdown 2, 2 touchdowns 4 times, and 3 touchdowns 2 times. That Chiefs defense, they're averaging 215 passing yards per game, and they're allowing 1.2 passing touchdowns per game. I'm going to go ahead and lock in Derek Carr at 290 to 324 passing yards. They may see a little high based on his averages, but that'll be justified here a little bit later on. And he's going to get 2 passing touchdowns in this game, which is what he's done most often this season. Question 3, the question we love and the question that we're most successful at, is who's going to score the first touchdown of the game. So let's go through the Chiefs players first. You got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's got 3 touchdowns on the season, 2 of those rushing, 1 of those receiving. And oddly enough, he's number 2 on the team in targets out of the wide receivers and running backs on the team. Number 2 in targets. Tyreek Hill, he's got 10 touchdowns on the season, 9 receiving, 1 rushing, and he's number 1 on the team in targets by the wide receivers by 29. 29 targets more than any other receiver on this team. That's incredible. Travis Kelce, he's got 6 touchdowns on the season. He's number 1 on the team in targets, and he leads that by 8. And any other player there for the Chiefs is going to come in with 12 touchdowns from 7 different players. Let's go ahead and now look at the Raiders players. Josh Jacobs, he has 8 touchdowns on the season. They've all been from rushing. Darren Waller, he's got 4 TDs on the season. Listen to this. He's number 1 in the team by targets. Okay, number 1 in the team by targets, but by guess how many? 37. 37 more targets than any other player on this team. That is incredible. He is clearly the guy that Derek Carr is looking to most. Nelson Aguilar, he's got 5 TDs on the season. He's number 2 in the team in targets by a wide receiver. And any other player here for the Raiders, they're going to give you 11 touchdowns from 9 different players. To help answer this question, I wanted to look at, let's start with the Chiefs. I wanted to look at their opening drives. What is the offense and defense doing in terms of either allowing touchdowns or allowing punts? Well, the Chiefs offense is scoring 33% of the time they're getting a touchdown on their opening possession. On the Chiefs defense, they're allowing 22% of the time they're allowing a touchdown. Before we look at the Chiefs, before we look at the Raiders in that same category, let's stay with the Chiefs here for a second, and let's just go game by game and see who scored the first touchdown for the Chiefs throughout this season. Travis Kelce has three times this season. He's been the first TD scorer. Mahomes has been the first TD scorer twice. And then Tyreek, Edwards-Helaire, Hardman, and Robinson have all been the first TD scorer once. And then overall in the season, that's going to give them 3 rushing touchdowns scored first versus 6 passing touchdowns scored first. And then on the season overall, they have 25 passing touchdowns to 7 rushing touchdowns. All right, so let's do that same thing there for the Raiders. On the Raiders' opening drives, on offensive speaking, they've scored a touchdown 22% of the time. From a defensive perspective, they're allowing a touchdown on... Oh, man, I didn't write it down here. Let me hold on. That's stupid. They're allowing a touchdown 11% of the time. Sorry about that. So on defense, they're allowing a touchdown 11% of the time. Okay, Raiders first TD scores. Let's go ahead and see who's scoring first for the Raiders throughout the entire season. Well, Jacobs has 2 and Aguilar has 2, and then a whole bunch of players otherwise they have 1. Moreau, Witten, Renfro, Booker, and Ingold, I believe his name is. They've all had 1 time have they been the first TD scorer. So that's 3 rushing touchdowns versus 6 passing touchdowns in terms of what was the first touchdown for the Raiders. In their season, they've had 16 passing touchdowns and 12 rushing touchdowns. All right, so for this one, based on how I think this game's going to go, based on how these offensive defenses allow touchdowns, based on who's getting targets, I'm going to go ahead and lock in on Travis Kelce here. I like the fact that he's second on the team in touchdowns with 6. I love the fact that he's number 1 in targets, but I love the fact that 3 times this season he's gotten the first TD for the Chiefs, and that's more than any other player by, maybe only 1, but the guy who's right behind him is Mahomes, and then the gap there is he got a 2 advantage over wide receivers and running backs. So go ahead and give me Kelce. He's the guy they look to there in the red zone. Question 4 is about Travis Kelce, and it's how many yards and receptions he's going to get in the game. As stated previously, he's number 1 on the team in targets by 8. He's got 80 targets and he's got 58 receptions, so that means he's catching 72% of his passes. He averages 85 yards per game. He average per catch is 13 yards. So far this season, he's gotten 10 plus targets 4 times. He's had 6 or 7 targets 4 times, and then the other 1 time is just kind of random. But those are consistently either 10 or more, or he seems to be right in that sweet spot of about 6 to 7. He had 12 targets earlier this season and 8 receptions against the Raiders earlier on this season. If we look at his yardage, what has he done in terms of yardage? He's been under 50 only once. Between 50 and 69 is 2 times. Between 70 and 89 is 2 times. Between 90 and 109 has been 3 times, including the last time out against the Raiders. And once this season did he get over 130 yards. I'm going to go ahead and answer this one. 8 receptions for Travis Kelce. And if you do the math, that puts him 8 times 13. That puts him right between 90 to 109 receiving yards. Question 5 is what's going to be the longest pass completion in the third quarter? Look, I looked up, their longest passes of what they've done over the game. Each of these teams have several in the 50s. They have several in the 40s. With this question not being over the course of the game, with them only asking you what's going to be the longest pass completion in the third quarter, I think this makes this a complete guess. I'm going to go ahead and say 30 to 34, but again, that's a complete guess right there. Question 6 is what's going to be the total points? The over-under is set at 56.5. There were 72 points in this matchup last time earlier on this season. I'm going to go ahead and say 65 to 68 points, and I'll give you I'll give you the score of this game right here in question number 7, which is who's the winner and what's going to be the win margin. The line is currently Chiefs -8. I've got the Chiefs winning this game by 10 to 11 points, and I've got the score at 38 to 27 Chiefs, and that's how I arrive at the 65 to 68 points is by the Chiefs winning 38 to 27. This is a revenge game. I don't understand. I mean, the Chiefs coming off a bye, first of all, which is obviously something that I really like. And also, you heard earlier this week in Andy Reid's press conference, he mentioned the fact that the Raiders, did a victory lap around their stadium and their bus before they headed on out of town. And that clearly got under the Chiefs' skins a little bit. I've never heard Andy Reid be a coach that gives another team bulletin material. Not that that is a bulletin board material, but that is clearly stuck with Andy Reid. He's clearly, the fact that he uses that in the media, he's been using that in practice behind closed doors to motivate the guys. These guys are going to be ready. I really like the Chiefs this week. So give me the Chiefs at 38-27. And that's how I'm going to answer the questions to win $100,000. Hopefully I've been a big help to you guys. Go ahead, like this video, comment, let me know what you're thinking, and I wish you guys the best luck as you win $100,000, and I'll see you guys on the next free contest. Thanks for watching this episode of Winning Bets. I'm Jason Mattis. I'll see you again when we are celebrating the wins and making more winning bets. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more winning bets.